Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art Talk number 169. I'm sure many of you are already familiar with Frank Gehry, but I'll give a quick background to begin. Frank Gehry was born Frank Owen Goldberg in Toronto, Canada in 1929. He studied at the University of Southern California and Harvard University. Gehry, based in Los Angeles since the 1960s, is among the most acclaimed architects of the 20th century and is known for his use of bold, postmodern shapes and unusual fabrications. Some of Gehry's most famous designs include the Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles, the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain, and today we're highlighting his spectacular Fondation Louis Vuitton in Paris. So here's the structure from two different angles. To produce his first sketches, Gehry took his inspiration from the late 19th century glass and garden architecture. He then produced numerous models in wood, plastic, and aluminum, playing with the lines and shapes, infusing his future building with a certain sense of movement. The choice of materials became self-evident. An envelope of glass would cover the body of the building. An assembly of blocks, referred to as the iceberg, would give it its volume and its vitality. The structure is composed of an assemblage of white blocks clad in panels of fiber reinforced concrete with 12 glazed sails supported with structural wooden beams. So here's another look at those sails. There's a great quote from Peter Goldberger in an article that he wrote in Vanity Fair about this building. Quote, Gehry loves the form of the fish as much as he loves sailing and boats. And it's not hard to see this building as the moment when these preoccupations come together into one gargantuan and complex object. This building is muscular and it is delicate. It's a linebacker with the moves of a ballerina, or if you prefer, it's Moby Dick with the athleticism of a sailfish. The Fondation Louis Vuitton is located next to the Jardin d'Acclimatation in the Bois de Boulogne, the famous park on the west side of Paris. And though the building itself is modern and avant-garde, it fits easily into the natural environment between the woods and garden, while at the same time playing with light and mirror effects. It's more than just an art museum. It's really a cultural complex that houses a range of contemporary artworks, accommodating a permanent collection alongside temporary and traveling exhibitions. And the venue also stages multidisciplinary performances, meetings, and debates, in addition to educational activities targeted towards a younger audience. So here's a piece of art within the building. This is Canyon, a newer work by Katarina Gross that has been on public display since October 2022. This installation is the latest artist commissioned by the Foundation. Composed of 8 5mm thick aluminum petals, as she calls them, spray painted with acrylic and connected to a beam. Canyon is a response to the artist's question, how can a painting appear in a space with no floor and no walls, where air, light, flows, and energies circulate? Gehry designed the building from the inside, starting not with the final shape, but with 3 piles of boxes containing art galleries. You can't hang art on glass, he said. And that's actually the way that Gehry usually works. He's usually known for his striking sculptural shapes, but he almost never starts with them because he wants to be sure that the functions of the building are taken care of before he starts letting his sculptural instincts run free. He said in an interview with Architect magazine, the reality was that the galleries had to be classical because the curator wanted the simpler galleries that people usually want in art museums. We developed the glass sails independently, and then we spent time getting these forms to dance together. As I mentioned previously, the design is strongly influenced by the lightness and fluidity of the late 19th century glass and garden architecture, especially the glass architecture of the Grand Palais in Paris. The 3,600 glass panels and 19,000 concrete panels that form the facade were simulated and then modeled by industrial robots working off the common model. So as we can see here, Gehry incorporated wood into the structure and the foundation. He mentions that he threw his team a curveball by proposing they use wood within the structure of the building, considering how modern the exterior is. But in the end, the use of wood is imperative to tying it into the surrounding nature of the park. If the building was just glass and metal, Gehry states, it would have been much more sterile. Just below the ground floor is a large deep water pool that's also a space for art installations. There were building regulations within the city of Paris, and they could only build 2 stories high. However, they were able to introduce a 3rd level by digging underground and creating what Gehry calls a grotto level. The auditorium on the left is dedicated to celebrating the arts and brings together musicians and artists of all disciplines. The space is flooded with light, as we can see, and offers expansive views of the surroundings, engaging in constant dialogue with the cascade of water and the grotto to create a unique and inspiring concert hall. On the right is the restaurant, Le Frank. Jean-Louis Nimocos proposes a gourmet cuisine, revisiting classic French cuisine, as well as several other global flavors. The menu evolves throughout the day, and it turns into an intimate and warm atmosphere in the evening. I'll end on this poetic line from the official website of the Foundation Louis Vuitton. This great architectural exploit has already taken its place among the iconic works of 21st century architecture. Frank Gehry's building, which reveals forms never previously imagined until today, is the reflection of the unique, creative, and innovative project that is the Fondation Louis Vuitton. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your week.